Back to another Vendetta Sports Media Daily Show. I'm Chris Bagdonis alongside Matt Hannafin. Matt, I'm sure you must have slept absolutely great last night. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, we were both witnesses to two absolutely classic playoff basketball games yesterday, and I don't think there's a better place to start than the masterpiece that Jimmy Butler put on against the Milwaukee Bucks yesterday.
Um, what is it, right? What time is it right now? It's about
It's
11, a little
11,
after
yeah,
12
East
Eastern.
Coast. Yep.
We're probably about a little bit of 12 hours removed from last night, and I still have no idea what the hell I just watched.
I still
Like
don't
I
know what I watched
like
either.
I'm genuinely like I genuinely just don't know. I still haven't like fully I have, but I haven't fully processed uh, what the hell this team has done over 4 games, let alone just last night. What Jimmy did, I mean, I thought about it a bunch last night. I thought about it a little bit this morning. I don't know where this would rank among Heat playoff performances that I've seen in my lifetime. Uh, I mean, as of right now, I'd probably put it at the top, but like, I mean, the thing about like Jimmy is he's done this before, or not this, but he's had phenomenal playoff performances before. He had that 40-point triple double. I think it was game 3 of the bubble of the
Right.
finals. It was either game 3 or game 5. I can't remember which one. But he had a 40-point triple double last year against Boston when everyone kind of counted them out in Boston. He dropped 47, 8, and 9 on one knee. And it was just like, and then last night he we could we're obviously going to go into this in a little bit, but he was getting help from quite literally nobody for through 90% of that game, and he finds a way to drop 56 points on 19 of 28 shooting with 9 rebounds, almost a 56-point double double, and he somehow finds a way to beat the number 1 seed, the top overall seed, with obviously the better team. They have the best player in the world back on the floor.
Right.
And they're trying to fight to make sure this isn't down. They're not down 3-1 in a series. Like, they're not coming in coasting. Like, Giannis and
Backs on the wall.
yeah, their backs were against the wall. And it's just like, yeah, I'm just going to drop 56. I'm going to drop 22 in the first quarter. I'm going to drop 21 in the final quarter. I'm going to drop 17 in the final 5 minutes or whatever the hell it was. Just like what is like, I'm sure you probably expect me to come in screaming and hollering and with all this emotion today, but I'm still like trying to mentally process all of this. Like, I even woke up this morning and just like I watched some tape from last night before we got on, and I'm probably gonna finish that once we hop off. But like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, I had to like rewind like several clips. I'm just like, one, I don't. I'm still trying to process just everything from Jimmy aside, and I'm watching like rebounds. Like, I'm just watching random plays from the beginning of the game, and I'm still I just can't stop thinking, like, what the fuck did just what just happened? Because it's like, this is just, and it's not even just from like Jimmy in part. It's a part, like, this team is up 3-1 in a series. Like, I'm saying this because I didn't expect them to win 3 games in the playoffs, let alone 3 games against the Bucks, because of what I saw for the previous 84 games. Um, and I'm still like, I still think this series is way far from over, just because of, like, guess what, dude? They have Giannis. Like, can the
They're a pretty
Milwaukee
damn good team.
can Milwaukee win 3 straight games? Absolutely. Like, that I don't think that should be up for debate at this point. Like, yeah, they haven't played well these previous 4 games or whatnot. Giannis has only played in 2 of them, but they still have probably the most complete roster in the NBA, and they have Giannis Ante freaking Antetokounmpo, who is the best player on the planet, and is probably going to go 0 dark, whatever, in Game 5 and Game 6, and whatever he's got to do, and that terrifies the hell out of me. And so there's like 98% of me is very cautiously optimistic about what I've seen through up to this point, but what's also to come. but it comes with a lot of like, and still win the next 3 games, and I don't think anyone should be shocked by that. And so like that's where I'm at. I'm not like this series is over, the series is over, the series is over. I'm not there yet. I'm not close to being there. I probably won't ever be there with this team in really any series. But like, I mean, what the hell, like Jackson in our Slack chat, Jackson, like I think Matt like might have died or something. Like I think
the Twitter account was dead for a short moment.
I actually do think I probably did die at some point, but like the holiness of Jimmy Butler in the final 5 minutes just resurrected me back to life.
I was just thinking, like, I don't know if I've ever heard a better Kevin Harlan call than that. That's just like that's how like just the magnitude, like whatever word you want to use to describe it. Like, just I don't think I've heard Kevin Harlan's voice reach those types of octaves in my NBA fandom experience.
And I'm gonna look at this. They were up 11 with like 5 minutes left. I'm pulling up this.
Oh yeah, you got it here.
They were up. Where the heck was? Okay, yeah, they were up 12 with just over 6 minutes left.
Gee whiz.
Under 6 minutes left. I don't know.
It is like a lost for words type of like.
I was gonna go on a tangent, but I don't know what to say.
Like I was thinking, like obviously everyone had the premature conclusions after game 1 of each series. Everyone's like, "Oh, Kawhi is." In my eyes, I thought Kawhi after that game 1 against the Suns was the closest thing we have to Michael Jordan in today's NBA. But I think I'm revising that and saying that Jimmy Butler is the closest thing we have to Michael Jordan in today's NBA.
At this point, I have no idea. I texted a friend last night, and because he had Milwaukee making it to the finals as like myself, and he's just like, dude, I want this final prediction to stay true. Like, can Jimmy Butler like chill out for a second, like in a jokingly way, of course, but he was messing with me. But I was just like, and I sent him a text back. I was like, he really might just be MJ's son. Like, I know that's just like a funny meme, but like he really might be MJ's son.
He very well could. And I agree with you. Like, this series is in 99 times out of 100 very far from over, but part of me just feels like Miami's just going to go to a little business trip in Milwaukee in game 5 and just play shutdown like basketball for 48 minutes, just close them out. That's a little slice of me.
After what I saw in game 2, when Milwaukee's like, when they really show up, like they went 25 and 49 from deep. Like I think just we're looking at a game 5 where it's just like, yeah, they're just gonna hit 20 plus threes, and it's just gonna be a wash, and we're gonna head back to Miami for game 6, and it's some pivotal game. Like, that's in my head what's already gonna happen. Again, you still have to play the games,
of course,
and obviously, like we say all of this to praise Miami. There's still shit that they got to clean up. Like, you can't allow their top 4 to shoot. I think the final number was like 43 shots in the paint, 32 at the rim. Like, that just can't happen.
Right.
Miami can't allow 16 offensive rebounds or whatever the final number was. That just can't happen.
Share this also.
Yeah.
Just look at the final box score.
Yeah. Here, let me. Like, Brook.
I
mean, yeah, you could have a formula where Brook Lopez is the one that beats you with like these weird hooks shots or whatever, but you just can't let them. You can't allow him to grab 7 offensive rebounds. You can't allow them to grab 16 offensive boards. Like that just can't happen in a series like this. You can't have everyone outside of Jimmy Butler on Miami shoot a combined 41%, including 35% through 3 quarters. That just can't happen. Bam Adebayo's got to be better. Sorry. He's got to be better in the end. Like, you need more from your supporting cast. I mean, the one guy who really, I guess I'll shout out a couple guys who stepped up more or less at points throughout the game was Duncan. Hit a couple of threes when Miami's offense was just really stagnant in the first half. He finished 3 or 4 from deep. It's nice to see him shoot the ball well now. I think in this series, he's shooting like 13 of 17 from deep, something like that. Like just kind of like a weird, like, whoa number that not really many people expected, I guess, heading into the series. And then the other guy who really stepped up late was Caleb Martin. He hit that one toe tapped, not toe tap. He hit that one jumper in the corner that, of course, Caleb Martin with his foot on the line, like he turns into like Steph Curry with his foot on the line. But he eventually hit that shot with Giannis like just a hand in his face. Like I don't even know why he shot it, and it was like a no. You see it going, it's like yes, like it was one of those.
Yes.
and then of course Jimmy, they get the steal, and Kevin Harlan goes just completely bonkers. But like Caleb Martin did really step up. He hit that, I think, one go ahead three, I think, to put him up. I think it was 108, 107, something like that. And so he had a couple really big shots late. And then there's one other guy that I want to shout out that I might do a thread on later on Twitter, was Kyle Lowry, at least especially defensively late in that game. He was one who I think forced that one steal. And he did a good job on Drew and Middleton, I think, throughout that fourth quarter. He just really stepped it up with his ball pressure. I mean, again, the numbers don't necessarily indicate the type of impact that he had. Although he did finish at plus 18, he was still very impactful, at least on the defensive end. Just given the circumstances, because Kyle Lowry just has not had the best defensive seasons over the last couple of years. I mean, he's older. He's not as athletic. He's slower. He's small. Like teams will attack him. Like that's just how it's gone with him. But he deserves a shout out. But you're going to need, I mean, Miami had 59 bench points in game 3, which is the most of any team this series. I think that still remains true after yesterday. You're going to need something like that at least once more to beat the Bucks one more time. Because
especially without Tyler Hero.
Yeah. I mean, Tyler Hero went down with his broken wrist. Vic, obviously,
that's terrible.
Just completely sucks. Because he's gone through multiple injuries throughout his career. He's handled everything like consummate professional. Like he's battled through so much, and it just sucks to see him get injured. But he was another one of those depth pieces that could go off for 10 to 15 points on any given night if he's given the opportunity. Kind of like what we saw last year in game 5 against the Hawks in the first round, where he had 23 points without Jimmy and Kyle. And so it's like he was another one of those pieces. Like if when Tyler went down, it's like, all right, this is Vic's time, or Vic will have definitely an opportunity to step up. And last night, I'm banging my head on the wall through 3 quarters. It's like Jimmy is doing effing everything right now. He had 22 in the first. He had 22 of their first 28 points. It was just completely bonkers. And then Duncan hits a couple of threes, but other than that, Miami's offense was terrible. Gabe Vincent's had a bad couple of games. And it's been, I don't mean to single him out, but 15 turnovers, he had 5 of them. It just felt like whatever Miami last night was mounting a comeback through the first 43 minutes or whatever it was.
He was shooting them in the foot.
You're shooting yourselves in the foot with some of these turnovers, or just bad shots or whatever. It's just we don't have to take these. We can have better possessions than this. Obviously, it's going to be very tough against Brooke, Drew, Chris, and Giannis, but there's ways to have better possessions than this. And I was like, you can't. Jimmy might go for, at the time I was thinking, Jimmy might go for 45 and we might lose, because it's he can't do everything and get just not very much out of his supporting cast in a series like this. I've said it multiple times over and over again on Twitter and in other spaces before, Miami needs to play perfect ass basketball for however many minutes is to win this series. Because the Bucks, again, as I mentioned before, I'm still terrified. I'm terrified of Milwaukee, even though Miami's up 3-1 in a series. I'm terrified. I don't think that's. I think I'm rightful to be terrified, because it's again, they have the best player on the planet. They have multiple elite defenders, and they have more depth. They have more shooting. They have more size. They have all of this. And last night, Miami had Jimmy Butler, and the Bucks didn't. I don't know if Jimmy can do that again, but I've said that before. But regardless, he's going to need more out of Vincent. He was 4 of 13, 2 of
More out
6
of
from
Bam. Yeah.
You're gonna sure shit need more from Bam. Bam last night was better in the second half, I would say, but just his decision making, he didn't know. Like there was a few times where he was hoisting shots where it was like, okay, dude, like you were jumping right into Brook Lopez. Like you don't have to do that. Or when you're at the rim and trying to take Pat Connaughton off the dribble, it's like just go right
Just
through
do it. Yeah.
Just go right through him. Don't try to go around him. Don't try to do some up and under. Like just go right through him. Like it was a weird Bam game, and it was just like this. Miami can't have this again. I mean, Kevin Love wasn't bad. He's been good on the glass last couple of games, but like you would like for him not to go 2 of 6 from deep.
That shooting stroke is so valuable.
You would like Max Strus not to go 0 of 1 and get picked on defensively. He only had one shot. I mean, Haywood Highsmith, when he's on the floor, is being left open for a reason. You have to knock down one of – I mean, he hit one corner three at the end of the first half, but you got to get – or it's either he's not shooting or like you got to get something. I mean, he was fairly good defensively given the circumstances, and he was pretty good on the glass. So I'll give him credit for that. That's just me looking at the points and the efficiency, and so I mean that's unfair by me. But Caleb Martin has been phenomenal. Just again, given the circumstances, he was phenomenal in that fourth quarter. He's plus 75, I think, through these 4 games, which is just bonkers, especially since he's coming off the bench and not even in the starting lineup most of the time. When Cody Zeller's on the floor, I mean, yeah, he's going to get picked on by whoever the ball handler is in the pick and roll. Like if he's just able to hold up, if you're able to put like a Jimmy or a Haywood next to him just to help complement him a little bit on the defensive end, fine, great, awesome. That felt like Milwaukee again missed just a lot of open shots. They shot 13 to 40 from deep. Again, guys were getting in the paint, and that paint touches is the most fashionable form of offense, whether you shoot it in the paint or someone cuts or you're able to kick it out for a 3 or what. Like it felt like they were getting in the paint too easily, and that's just going to happen when you're facing Giannis. But you can't allow 47 shots. You can't allow roughly half of their shots to be in the paint. Can't happen.
Not going to fly.
I don't remember what the exact percentage is, but I don't really care about the percentages because just from the process of it, you can't have that happen. So it's like there's shit that's got to be cleaned up. There's shit that has to improve heading into game 5 and beyond. But it's like just going back. I don't know. Again, I know we haven't talked probably as much about Jimmy as we probably should have. I mean, he did this on a bruised bottom, dude. He bruised his glute at the end of game in the third quarter of game 3.
And he comes out and you wouldn't even be able to tell.
Yeah, like it's just
it's like you said, it's just bonkers. I was gonna say this is I guess a double-edged sword that Miami is gonna have 3 tries at taking Milwaukee out. And again, I know I can only imagine how scared you are by that, but I feel like when I think about Eric Spoelstra's attention to detail and, they really, if they play mistake-free basketball, and again, it doesn't have to be game 5. You can wait to get back home for game 6 and just put your heart and soul out, and that'll be that. But I think it's a good thing that they'll have 3 tries to get Milwaukee out. Obviously, if you leave it to a game 7, that's not an ideal situation for anybody.
Yep.
But again, I have faith that the Heat will get it done either in game 5, which is probably least likely out of game 5 or game 6, but still just an absolutely historic performance. And
yeah, because
my chapeau goes off.
They're going to come guns a-blazing in game 5. I've seen this too many times before where a team will go down 3-1 in a series, a team will head home, and it's just like, yeah, we're backs are against the wall. We'll force another one. We'll go 100 for 101 in the paint. We'll go will hit 200 threes. Like I feel like I've just seen that too many times before. It's kind of like how it wasn't. I mean, it's different, obviously, but kind of feels like how it was just in game 2, where it's just like, all right, you might go down 2-0 at home. Oh, but then Milwaukee just doesn't miss a shot. And it's just like, oh, okay, that's cool. Go on to game tied, series tied up, go on to game 3. I mean, again, obviously different circumstances, but it's just like, just get this over as quickly as you possibly can.
Milwaukee's not a team you want to leave hanging around.
That Giannis is again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Giannis is the last freaking person I want to see in a playoff series. Like, quite literally.
He might have a 55-point game of his own in game 5. Like, he may just go out and do that.
Literally, he might have that. I wouldn't be surprised at all. In fact, I'm expecting that more now than I would if he had, like, same thing as last night. Like, I expect that way more. He might go off for 60. He might go off for set. Like, he is the last person I ever want to see in a playoff series, especially when Miami, the talent discrepancy is as big as it is. He is the last person. Chris Middleton, who hasn't missed a shot since he's in his career against Miami, he's the second to last person. Jokingly, I say that half jokingly. He was only 4 of 12 last night. He fouled out.
He's a heat killer, though.
There's been so many times where it's like, dude, this guy has like 30 against Miami, and you just felt like he hasn't missed a shot. Like, he kills Miami historically. Like, Drew Holiday, he was 6 of 19. He hasn't had a good series, but he's also just someone who I feel like just kills Miami. No, the numbers don't back it up. But also something I want to contextualize about Jimmy really quick. I tweeted this morning. 43 of his 56 points came against Giannis, Brook, Drew, and Middleton. Like, when they defended him. 43 of his 56 points came against those 4 defenders. They defended him over 90% of the time. I think there was NBA.com does matchup tracking data. And I think he logged 8. I think those 4 logged 85 of like 93-ish partial possessions on Jimmy as the primary defender last night.
He was only seeing the rim. That was the only thing he was seeing last night.
It's not like something that might get lost in this years from now is people might be like, oh, he was just attacking Pat Connaughton or Grayson Allen or the
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't. He wasn't at all. I think Drew had like 50, I want to say like 56 or 57. Like, he took the majority of that load. Drew Holiday is arguably the best perimeter defender in the NBA. And Jimmy just gave him Giannis, who is just a wizard defensively. Brook Lopez, who around the rim is terrifying. He blocked Bam twice last night in ridiculous fashion. And like, he did this against their best. I mean, I know Middleton's lost a little bit. He's
still a good 3-and-D guy.
He still with some leg injuries, and he's lost a little bit athletically, but he's still a good defender in his own right. He's still chasing around Duncan Robinson or whoever is on the perimeter. Like, he's chased around Strus. He's done a good job face guarding whoever's he's had to face guard when he's been on him. Like, he did that against those 4. I don't want to end this discussion before mentioning that, because that shit is ridiculous. Because again, you just don't, I feel like we don't see it that much. I'm sure there's plenty of examples where we might have, but like, when you go off for 56 points, you don't see it so often against the best of the best. And another thing I want to mention before we end this, and something else I also tweeted this morning that I want you and whoever is watching this to think about. I don't think people realize how hard it is to complete. Like, Jimmy isn't, I don't want to say he's not the best regular season player, because he's still a really good regular season player. He averaged, I think, 25 a game this year on his best efficiency ever. He's had the most efficient season of his career. Even at age, I think 33, something like that. I'm bad with ages, but age 33, 34, or early to mid 30s.
Right.
I don't think people realize how hard it is to completely, like, it's not like flipping a switch, but he goes from 100% to like 150%.
Yeah.
In a playoff game and in a playoff series. Like, he nicknamed playoff Jimmy Butler. Like,
Jimmy G buckets.
This is what makes the great players great. And this is also something I've said about Braun in the past. I mean, you could go back Kareem, Duncan, Magic, like all the great playoff performers, like even Kobe. I know he had that bad game 7 in the 2010 finals, but like he's still a historically good playoff performer. And even guys like today, like maybe someone who's not as made it as far, like Luka. Who, I mean, he did make a conference finals a couple years ago.
He turns it up in playoff time though.
Like, I mean, we'll probably get into it a little bit, but Mitchell, even though he's not having a good series this year, but like guys who completely turn it up in a playoffs, because it's like these teams just heading into game 1, they probably already have 3 or 4 games of film that they saw from you this year that they played. I mean, if they played every game,
right?
Plus, like they know your personnel, and the fact is we're in game 4, and like Jimmy put up 56 when you know he's going to get he's going to draw Drew or Chris. You know he's going to draw the best of the best. You know they're trying to take him out of the game, especially with a compromised roster. Like I don't think people understand how hard it is to completely flip that switch. And again, I've said it about Braun before, because it felt like for years Braun was like the standard 27, 8 and 8 or whatever, like the famous number is. But then he gets to the playoffs and he's like, no, I'm going for like 40, dude. I'm going for 40 with 10 rebounds and 8 assists. Like, deal with
it.
Enjoy it. Like, I mean, maybe not as much this year, but like especially when he was in Miami, and of course his second Cleveland stint. Maybe I'd even say part of his first Cleveland stint too. Like there would just be games where it's just like, wait, he went off for what? Like how much? Like
it's going nuclear.
Yeah, like I'll never forget where I was for game. I'm trying to remember. Oh, game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals in 2013 or 2012, excuse me.
That 45 against Boston.
Yeah, 45, 15 and 5. And I'll never forget. Like I remember I wasn't able to watch the first quarter because I was at Little League baseball practice, and I rushed home. Just watching that in my parents' bedroom and just being like, what the what the heck?
That'll stay with you forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, but he was able, when he had that grin in his eyes. He had to flip that switch like that. Last night, Jimmy was like, given the circumstances, again, they're still up 2-1 in the series, but you're the number 8 seed against the number 1 seed, the top overall seed, with, again, the best player in the world's now playing, a phenomenal supporting cast, good depth, good shooting, and their backs are against the wall. So you know they're going to come out swinging. And they did for the majority of that game. They were up 95% of that game. And they were up by double digits too. Like they were up a good portion of that game by double digits. Like for a while you thought that Milwaukee was going to win that game, especially when you saw what Jimmy was doing, but what everyone else wasn't doing.
Yeah.
And like just flip that switch in just a matter of moments. It's just like, I don't know how that's why I can't fully process it, because every time I watch a game like this, it's like, I don't know how to fully process how these professional athletes, these great, phenomenal human specimens, can do what they do when they need to the most. Like I played basketball in high school. I mean, I was bad, but I still, like, I understand being in a competitive environment and being
right,
having the stakes raised to an extent. I mean, my high school basketball team was pretty good. We weren't the best, but we were one of the best teams, at least in our district, in our conference. But like I understand. Like I've never fully grasped how, like, the cream of the crop, the peak of all this, how athletes like Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, Luka. I mean, I'll say Luka and Donovan because they're two of the best playoff scorers that we have nowadays, at least. They've had those type of moments, like
right.
Curry. I mean, Curry's especially lately. I mean, I know people still do clown him for the end of the 2016 finals, but he still had his definite moments, especially like last year in the finals. Like how these athletes are able to just completely turn up on another level. especially against the league's best. Because again, I don't want to dismiss the fact that Curry did that against the league's best defense last year. I don't remember what the final numbers were, but I remember just watching it, just being like, "Holy hell, dude!" Like,
chill
what?
out.
Yeah, chill out. Like, I mean, of course, I was rooting for the Warriors for pretty obvious reasons, but
Of course.
I was like just holy hell, dude. Like it's mind blowing to me, and it's something I'll always respect and love. And this is why we love sports, just for moments like in games like these, regardless of who it is, even if it's against your team. But it's just like it's something I always marvel and respect and love, and watch over and over again. Like Wade was like this too when he, especially if you go back and watch the 2006 finals, like games 3 through 6, he went completely bonkers. Those were some of the best playoff performances in Miami Heat history. He averaged nearly 40 points a game, and he just went completely and again, that was his third NBA season too, just also contextual.
He was looking like a clone of Michael Jordan in a way.
Yeah, like Dwayne was a different beast. Especially at the early part of his career before his knees just gave out on him. Like he was a different animal. And like just marveling just through all of that. I remember at one point, I think during the All-Star break, I went back and watched most of part of those games. Those 2006 final games. Because I mean they have them on like the NBA app and League Pass, right, and stuff. So it's like you can go back and watch them, but it's just like watching that. I wish I could watch it live, obviously, but watching that back, it's just like, what the like. How is anyone able to do this?
Yeah.
And even though Jimmy shot 18 free throws, I mean, they were fouling him. He was getting to the line. It's part of being aggressive, but it's just like, I don't know. He can't do this again.
He shot 80% from inside the 3-point line.
You're right.
Like just like unheard of stuff.
Like I can't, I haven't grasped it yet. And I don't know if I ever will. That's just kind of.
But you don't have to. That's the best part.
Kind of my spiel.
It's just a moment in history. He can't. That will not be taken away. I mean,
no.
When you're up there, when your name is up there with the Elgin Baylors and the Michael Jordans, and you 56, you're not too far. I mean, he already passed Jordan's double nickel with that. I mean, that's just it's gonna stay in the books forever.
Yeah, and it's just weird, again, before we move on from this. Miami, I think Cooper Moorhead, who writes for the Heat site, he had I'm going to see if I can find it. I think the Heat are the first team in NBA, or not the first team, the 7th team in NBA history to shoot, I think, at least 25 threes and knock down at least 40% of those threes in a 4-game stretch in the playoffs. And the other 6 teams that did it were like top 10 3-point shooting teams this year. Miami was 27th. Like they were the 4th worst. And it's just like, again, when I say I don't know what I'm watching, it's not just from what last night. It's from they're doing this against a top 5 defense.
They turn it up to 11 every time.
Like this godforsaken team, this team that's driven me nuts all season long. They're just like, hey, we're going to just – I mean, of course, do this. Yeah, game 2 was a little flawed because a lot of that production came towards the end when it was in garbage time. But
right,
regardless, like this team
still stands.
They're the league's most efficient offense. From 3-point range, true shooting percentage, I think effective field goal percentage, they have the highest offensive rating. Again, we're talking about a very minuscule 4-game sample here, so I don't want that to be – I want all context provided when I say that, but like they're also doing this against the top 5, top 3 defense with 3 elite defenders, albeit one of them has only played in 2 games. But Jesus Christ, where the hell was this the entire season? And I know, and again, I'm saying all this just to probably get my heart broken, knock on wood that it doesn't, but to get my heart broken within the final 3 games. Again, that's why I'm asking, please just close this shit out as soon as you possibly can. So I don't even have to think about this anymore. I don't want just win tomorrow. Just win 2.
Milwaukee, they are just like a cockroach the size of a dog.
Yeah,
They
it's
can
like
just pretty much take any damage and they'll still be scurrying around.
It's like you kill one, you walk out, and there's one in the other room. It's just like what?
It's just everywhere.
I just beat you.
But of course, Matt, I don't want to look too far ahead, but of course, should the Heat close this out, it is looking more and more likely that it would be a second round matchup between the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks. Just the universe had to make it that way.
I hope
so too.
All right, let's move. We can't talk enough more about the Heat. Let's move on.
We can run through that Lakers game because that was also a very good game.
I'll be
LeBron is completing side quests now in the playoffs 2020.
Yeah, I think was the 6th player ever.
Yeah, 6th Laker, I think, or something like that.
Well, no, he was the 6th. The stat I looked up this morning: 6th Laker or 6th player, 38 or older, have 20 rebounds in a playoff game. Like when they showed that graphic that he had 20 rebounds, I was like, wait. It just didn't feel like I was like, wait, what? Like 20 rebounds is 20 rebounds, but people don't like to talk about rebounds as being like an important stat. It's one of the most important stats. Like rebounding wins games and wins titles. Like that's just the fact.
Like I remember you said it in the play-in game for Miami when they lost that first play-in game. That classic quote.
Yeah. Rebounds, no rings.
Yeah, I
don't
know what else I can say about LeBron at this point.
He finally has a bad Anthony Davis game.
It was a very bad Anthony Davis game. One that I'm sure many people in the media are going to completely ride him on, but it was not 12 points, 11 rebounds, 4 blocks. Like, I mean, again, the Lakers should. I hope the Lakers bought. He had good defense, but I hope the Lakers bought D'Angelo Russell a big fat steak yesterday because he really shot that team back into that game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, especially when you feel like Memphis was finally like getting a stranglehold on the game. I think they were up like 6 with I don't know.
They were clicking, like up 7 or something like that.
Yeah, how much time is left? Oh yeah, I think you're right.
It was like up 7 with like 5 or 6 to go, and then Russell just 3 straight threes.
Yeah, he knocks down those 3 threes, and it's just like whoa. Like he was like 0 of I think 4 or 0 of no, it was either like 0 of 3 or 0 of 4 from deep before those 3 shots. It was just like. Oh,
he really did turn it on. I'll give D'Lo credit
to make this 3-1 series.
Yeah,
and I feel bad too because we all know and love Jackson Law, but it's just like
I know
he gets a 45-point incredible game from Ja in Game 3, but it was a game where the Lakers were already up. They were up, I think, by as much
almost
as
30 in the second quarter.
Yeah, 30 in the second quarter. And it never felt like Memphis was going to win that game, even after Ja scored. I think I don't know if it was the team's final 22 points, but he had 22 straight points really late in that fourth quarter. Just somehow trying to will them back into it, even though the Lakers or the Grizzlies couldn't get stops. And then you get a 36-point game from Desmond Bane, albeit on 3 of 12 shooting from deep, but a 36-point game from Desmond Bane, who felt like at least through the first 3.5 quarters was really clicking from the floor. And it's just like, okay, if you're getting a Desmond Bane performance like this, I mean, I know Ja wasn't like terrible, so to speak.
Maybe re-aggravated his hand a little bit.
Yeah, he did. But like he wasn't incredibly efficient. And like if you're able to steal this one on the road, you're up 7. You're sitting in a good spot going
2-2 going back home, yeah. But
and it's just like
was not meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, it was also just a really weird way because I remember like the start of overtime. I think it was either the very first possession or the second possession. Memphis gets that. It was either a rebound or a steal. I can't remember which one. Ja dribbles it off. I think Tillman's leg. I think Schroeder's already on the floor after I think falling after maybe a layup or a loose ball or something like that. Yeah. Schroeder's already on the floor. The ball just somehow rolls like directly to him.
Yeah, he makes that pass on the floor.
Yeah, makes that pass on the floor to Davis. Davis finishes that crazy layup, and it's just like, Like,
It's like, what the heck, man?
Again, at that point, there's still 4.5 minutes left in overtime. But at that point, it's just like, oh, like that's
I'll say
like
this.
a backbreaker.
As soon as LeBron, after the buzzer went off at the end of the fourth quarter, and that just like 35-footer just splashes right through the net, I'm like, God, the Lakers are winning this.
Yeah, like it was.
It's like, just, and then
Memphis had the game in their hands too. At least it felt like.
Well, I've got to say, Matt, my main man, Austin Reeves, I thought he was in real trouble. He had 4 fouls with like 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. I thought we're not seeing the Austin Reeves show for the rest of this game. But then he comes out and he plays some of the most disciplined basketball I think I've ever seen him play. No, I don't think he picked up a single foul after that. And he really was in there for a lot of overtime and crunch time.
Yeah, he didn't have a foul in the fourth. I'm looking at overtime. He did not have a foul in overtime either. He did very well. He did pick it up. I think somewhere around that like 10-minute mark. Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, but this was like just a weirdly dumb game from like a shooting perspective. This felt like a 1990s game of like basketball. Like at one point, I want to say, I can't remember who was on the call. Everything from last night, as you can tell, was just fuzzy to me for obvious reasons again. But like at one point, I think whoever was calling the game was like, this was sometime in the fourth quarter. It's like they're only like 8 of 35 from deep or something. And I'm just like, wait, this team's only hit 8. Like it just didn't feel like it. I'm just like, again, my mind was in like a completely other place, but I'm just like, wait, they've only hit like 8 threes. I'm like what's going on? And the Lakers obviously weren't doing much better either. I mean, just looking at these final numbers here, context aside, the Grizzlies finished 9 of 42 from deep, and the Lakers finished 10 of 36. I don't know the math. I can do quick calculator math right now, but that's not good.
No, not at all.
Let's figure this out. That's 24%. Combined.
Wow. I'd expect better numbers in Game 5. I think both teams.
I mean, yeah, the Grizzlies weren't one to shoot many threes throughout the year. I mean, they did. I think their 3-point rate went up after they acquired Kennard. But just this was a team that lived a lot in like the short mid-range type area. The short mid-range, just the mid-range in general, like that's where the majority of their shot diet came from, if I can remember correctly. And as we all know, the Lakers did have 3-point struggles throughout the season. They were one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league. And so I guess that shouldn't be as surprising. But the fact that they were able to come back on the back of D'Angelo, Russell, and LeBron. I don't want to say on the back of D'Angelo because he did miss a couple of crucial threes late in that fourth quarter. But he did hit 3 threes again that brought him back.
And he did get ejected also. I forgot about that.
Wait, who did?
Or no, he just got fouled out. Not
ejected. He fouled out. Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, although I don't know. I put this in the Slack chat, but like, how many times are players going to get hit in nuts?
I know. The groin shots are getting a little bit out of hand.
Like, or at least at or in the general area. Like, I think I had, I can pull it up. I think I had 6 guys within the last week who have just somehow gotten hit in the nuts. And or again, at or near the groin area where so I had Sabonis who got stomped on by Draymond. I mean, I know that was in like the liver, like rib area, but that was close enough for me. Yeah. It was close enough for me to be like, okay, that's close. I don't think Draymond was trying to hit him in the nuts, but it was close. Claxton, who Embiid just tried to kick.
Oh, yeah, he like stepped over him.
Yeah, he stepped over him. Embiid kicked him, hit him in the thigh. Didn't get him in the nuts, but
he looked pretty close, yes.
Royce O'Neal got tapped. I don't know if it was by the elbow or forearm of James Harden in that second half. He got ejected for that. Kind of like a makeup call for the Embiid thing.
Right.
Dylan Brooks hit LeBron.
Yeah, that looked like a punch almost.
Right, but like full court press, like the first 20 seconds of the second half. You boom, hitting the nuts. He got ejected. AD got hit in the nuts. I can't remember by who last night, but he got hit in the nuts, and that looked painful.
He was down in a heap, I think.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember if it was up on a shot attempt or what happened, but like he immediately just fell to the floor, and everyone at first was just like, "Wait."
I know. I was like, no way is AD hurt again.
And just like, "Oh wait, no, he actually just got hit in the nuts," which I would fall to the floor too if that happened to me.
Oh, of course, me too.
And then Schroeder, Schroeder hit, I think, Jaren Jackson hit Schroeder in the nuts.
Right.
I don't know if that was by accident or purpose, but like, regardless, like how many this has happened within like the last week. I know I'm probably missing a couple of names that I just didn't see. But
still, the point stands.
The point stands. It's 6 guys in a matter of 6 or so days. It's 1 per day. Who's gonna get hit in the nuts today?
Who will it be today?
Yeah, is it DeAndre Hunter gonna hit? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who the heck is gonna get hit in the nuts? Like, I don't.
The draft site should make a new betting line on that.
Yeah, what are the odds? Plus 350? Like what?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, I mean, it felt like, I don't know how much you've watched of this series, but it felt like after game 1 of this Lakers-Grizzlies series, it felt like, okay, the Grizzlies are like at a severe size disadvantage, as I kind of predicted heading into this. They're relying too much.
The Lakers are beating them at their own game, pretty much.
Yeah, like, obviously, Ja hurt his hand towards the tail end of that game.
Having no Brandon Clark and Adams really hurts now.
Yeah, and it's like they're relying so much on like Jaren Jackson to create offense, self-create offense. He's not necessarily creating for others. They're relying a lot on Xavier Tillman, who's definitely had spurts in the series. I think he had 22 in game 3.
Yeah.
He was no, it's 22 in game 2. Excuse me. But he's had his points throughout the series, but they're just relying on so much of guys on also just like Santi Aldama. I mean, I know he only got 7 minutes last night, but like their big rotation, they're really thin, and it's just like I don't know, like where they get this kind of source of offense from if Ja's not playing. And of course, what happened in game 2, the Lakers come out incredibly sluggish. It was a little bit of a rock fight, but Memphis was able to persevere, and it's just like, okay, are the Lakers like, is there something here? And then of course, obviously the Dylan Brooks comments, the Lakers come out on a 35-9 run before you can even blink in game 3. And it's just like, wait, what the hell? Like, okay, you tell within the first few minutes, like, all right, this is likely going to be a 2-1 series. Evidently it was. And then last night,
they had their chance.
And the Lakers were up, I think, like what, 12 or 14 points in that first. Like they were up.
Yeah, the Lakers were up
double digits. Memphis
pretty comfortably in the second half.
Yeah, they climbed back to it in the third and fourth quarters.
Totally.
And you get, again, the 36-point outing from Desmond Bane, which Desmond Bane, I love watching Desmond Bane. He's an awesome player. And you get double figures from the rest of your starting 5, which is also important, even from the hated Dylan Brooks. And it's like, okay, you're in a position to steal this, head back to Memphis tied 2-2, and now it's 3-1. It's just like, okay, now you got to beat LeBron James and Anthony Davis 3 straight times. Like, not impossible, especially when you have 2 of those games possibly at home.
It's still a very uphill battle.
Right. And so it's like, I wonder, like, it feels like Memphis, we in the media and we just as fans or whatnot, we dub a lot of games must-win games. Like, sure, I'll fucking dub Miami's game 5 as a must-win game because I don't want to see whatever happens after that.
Can't leave those cockroaches hanging around much longer.
I feel like just calling Giannis and them cockroaches is just going to come back and bite us.
I hope not. Don't. If you're watching this, Milwaukee Bucks, please.
Yeah, please. I also, we're not saying that in like just they're They're like the little like
they can
just
take any type of damage, and they're
they're like the annoying little like cousin you have that's just poking you in the side and you just won't stop. And it gets really annoying after a while. Like the Grizzlies can absolutely be that team as well against the Lakers. But you need, especially from Ja and Des and Bane, and as well as like the rest of the supporting cast, you need, like, I wonder what the rotation, because they went 9 deep last night. I wonder how much that's going to thin itself over the rest of the series, whether they, like, who's the odd man out. I mean, I don't think Tice is the odd man out. It might be Aldama. Who the hell knows? I mean, David Roddy didn't play terribly last night, but he was still 3 of 10 shooting. He had a couple of good rebounds. He was okay defensively just from the stints that I saw. He was a minus 10 in the 20 minutes that he played, but like maybe he's that 8th guy or whatnot. I don't know, but like John Conchar didn't get any run last night. He was another one who had a kind of a weird, dirty play, I think, in game 3, but we don't have to talk about that. But like, I wonder just who else after John Bane, and I'm sure this is this is something I want to pick Jackson's brain on if I can. Like who? Totally. I mean, it's going to be Jaren probably, but like who else is that guy outside of those two who you can rely on for steady, reputable production for a 48-minute stretch? Because again, you're going up against a LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You got to win 3 straight games, and not that it's impossible, because we've seen how volatile the Lakers have been at points this season, but especially since they reshaped their roster, kind of reshaped their rotation to an extent, like this team's been really good. And this has been one of the better teams in not just the West, but the entire league. And so it's not going to be easy.
And again, looking ahead, it's a pretty favorable second-round matchup for the Lakers if they can get it done between Sacramento and Golden State. I'm sure they would love either of those teams, but I was thinking personally, I'm sure the Grizzlies would absolutely love Dillon Brooks to back up his talk with some pretty good play, because he hasn't been doing that really.
Yeah. I mean, I know Braun cooked him on that final and one.
I saw that post-game interview with Bane, and he said that, you know, LeBron for his entire career has been one of the best right-hand drivers to the rim in the NBA, and that's exactly what they let him do to tie it up.
Yeah. And like, also, if you're going to be the villain, why aren't you, like, you got to face
play like the villain.
Well, not even just play like the villain. You got to face the music after.
Yeah. Now we see all these reports that the Grizzlies tried to get rid of him. They tried to get either OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges in exchange for Brooks and a bunch of first-round picks. And
right, but it's like not losing these last 2 games and not speaking to the media after either of those games. Like, that's not a good look.
You do need to face the music.
You need to face the music, like,
especially in the playoffs.
Brooks being the villain. Like, I was talking to one of my buddies last night about, like, he made a comment like, "Oh, I wonder what it would be like to be like the most hated player in the league," or something like that. And it's just like, I told him, I was like, if I were the most hated player in the league, I would lean all the way into it. Maybe not try to be dirty, but I would try to
just embrace it.
Yeah. You would embrace it. Like, you would instigate it with like the post game stuff. Like you would have to, like, at least at some point lean into it. And of course, what makes someone the most hated player in the league is like the dirty stuff and kind of the shady stuff, which I don't like. I never want anyone to do that type of stuff to anyone in a game. Like, that's just not how basketball at all should be played. But if you're going to be the most hated player in the league for whatever reason, like, lean into it.
And all I'll say is we see what goes on with Draymond Green. He does embrace it from time to time.
Right. He does embrace it. And I like Draymond. Like, I'm not someone who hates Draymond. I don't even think I'm someone who hates Dillon Brooks all that much. But like, if you're talking when you're up, I mean, as Jordan said in that famous quote, it's easy to talk when you're up.
When you're up. Everyone talks when they're up, yeah.
When you're doing it when you're down, I mean, I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember the exact quote, but it's like when you're talking crap,
that's when you're really
losing. Yeah. Like, that's when you gain the respect of someone. So it's like when you lose these 2 games and you're not facing the music, especially if you got cooked by Braun, at least on the final play. I don't know about the rest of the game, but like the final play, at least.
Like Lucas said last year, everybody talks when they're up.
Yeah, everyone does.
It's a fact. It's just how it is. But again, the NBA was just unnecessarily dramatic last night. Hey, I'll take it, but it was just every roller coaster of emotions and just everything.
How do you feel about your Knicks? I mean, as we
Look,
move on throughout these series, like where's your head at?
Look, I've always thought like Josh Hart is a good role player. Ever since he was on the Lakers, I was like, like he seems like a good enough guy. Then like, he gets traded to the Knicks. I'm like, oh great, the Villanova connection, him and Brunson, they won a national championship together with Jay Wright. Obviously there's a great bond there, but I did not expect Josh Hart to be a complete like spark plug. Like he's almost taken Emmanuel Quickly's thunder off the bench with how he's been playing. Like it's just ridiculous. And now like again, I knew that I had the Knicks winning this series. I believe that they were the better team, especially just been playing better basketball recently, but like it's just unbelievable. This is uncharted territory for Knicks fans. We're not used to things being this good. We're like, can you point to me the last time the Knicks had a 3-1 lead in any playoff series? Was it maybe against the Celtics in 2013? Like they were up 3-0 or that's about it.
I was gonna point to 2013. Like that felt like the last really, really good Knicks season.
Good mojo in the playoffs just doesn't happen very much at Madison Square Garden. But I mean, they did their job. I was like, you get the road split in Cleveland, and they defended home court, and they shut down Donovan Mitchell in the process. And I personally think the Knicks are good enough to close it out in Game 5 in Cleveland.
If you were to told me that 4 games into this series, the best big wouldn't be Evan Mobley, it wouldn't be Jared Allen, it wouldn't be Julius Randle, but it was Mitchell Robinson, I wouldn't have completely looked at you sideways, but I would have been like, what?
I think I would have been laughing a little bit. I would have
been like, okay, wait, what? Like, I remember when I wrote when I did the preview for Knicks Cavs, one of the biggest questions I had was who's going to win the battle of the boards, because Cleveland, for all intents and purposes, yes, they have Jared Allen, yes, they have Evan Mobley, but they were near the bottom third in the league in defensive rebounding percentage. The Knicks, on the other hand, were a top 3 offensive rebounding team with 2 of the best offensive rebounders in the league in Mitchell Robinson, in Isaiah Hartenstein. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Josh Hart is Josh Hart. I love what I've seen from him just throughout this series, what he's done, taking the Mitchell assignment, being
just doing everything they ask.
And I like that was one of the biggest questions I have. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm trying to pull them up, but like it feels like the Knicks have just completely controlled the glass.
Well, I forget where I saw it on Twitter. It was like Cleveland is scared to bring it into the paint because of just the influence that Robinson has right now. I forget. It was like the field goal, something to do with like field goal percentage and how like Robinson alters it or something like change field goal, like something ridiculous like that. And he's just been absolutely lights out in the paint for the Knicks.
Right. No, he has done that because it feels like there's definitely times where I've seen Mitchell and at times Garland and others like get downhill because I mean the Knicks don't have great guard defenders outside of Josh Hart, but
yeah,
it feels like it's just a lot of kickouts and it's a lot of shooting threes and it's a lot of forcing tough mid-range shots. And it just feels like throughout this entire series that like Mitchell has not gotten in rhythm at all.
I think just like the Cavs are still like a young team. I feel like people forget like they were, this is their first year with Donovan Mitchell. Before that, they lost in the play and they missed the playoffs again. Obviously, the Knicks, I'm not saying they're no spring chickens. Like they had that one playoff appearance in 21, but I mean, I think the Cavs still need a few more years before they start making those types of tough mid-range shots, like you said. I don't think that just happens unless you're a
Right.
really good team. But
Right, and like this is what happens when young teams at times go through this type of stuff. Is there are definite bumps in the road, and it's like if you look at the Cavs roster outside of Donovan Mitchell, like they don't have much playoff experience. I think like Chetty Osman when he was with LeBron, I think maybe like
Jared Allen may have had a series in Brooklyn, and that's about it.
Yeah, like there's just not much like deep playoff experience. I mean, I want to say like Ricky Rubio. I'm trying to remember. Maybe
probably Ricky Rubio.
Maybe I honestly just can't remember off the top of my head. But like, it just in general, they don't have a lot of playoff experience. And when you're in these hostile environments, like as we saw, I don't remember what the final numbers were, but Darius Garland in Game 3 was brutal. It looked like he was playing his first ever road playoff game in a hostile environment in MSG, and it was like that. Like it's not a knock on Garland. I like Garland as a player. I think he's a really good young point guard. I think he's one of the best young point guards in the league. But like bumps like that just sometimes happen, and that's just part of growing as a player and getting that experience. I mean, it doesn't happen to everyone, but there are times where you'll have a bad playoff game or a bad playoff series, and that just happens with practically every single player. Like one guy who was my X factor, my Knicks X factor heading into that series, who I thought has had very underwhelming series, is Emmanuel Quickley.
Yeah, he's been quiet.
He's been quiet, and again, like that's not saying he's a bad player because he's definitely not. But that just the bumps in the road of a young player or just a player in general. Like sometimes that series just happens, and there's not much. Like you gotta find a way to overcome it in the end. And I'm sure, regardless of who it's Miami or Milwaukee, if the Knicks should the Knicks advance,
right? I mean, it's looking very favorable for the Knicks right now. I don't understand. I just don't get it.
But you and I both have to like be very cautiously honest.
Yes, I need to keep myself grounded in reality. And then it's like the Knicks coming into this series, they were known like they had one of the best offensive ratings in NBA history. I don't think people really realize that. But it's been their defense that is, holding the Cavs under 80 points in Game 3. And just like, I mean, we talked about Robinson and how in the world is this Josh Hart's first playoff series? He's been playing like a guy that lives in the playoffs. Like it's just outrageous. And then again, like you said, I think it's very much the Knicks' advantage that they have a Derrick Rose on the bench who's been to conference finals, who's battled it out against Miami back in the day, who's able to tell these young guys like Quickly and Grimes, Deuce McBride when he's out for the occasional moment, just to have that and just say like, look, just make the most of it. And that's exactly what the Knicks have been doing. I mean, RJ Barrett, I was ready to jump off the RJ Barrett train after this season. I thought we've seen the best out of RJ Barrett in a Knicks uniform, but that's probably the best game of his career that he just had in Game 4.
Yeah. I mean,
he was just lights out. I mean, he just did everything you could ask for.
Yeah.
And then obviously Jalen Brunson, like
may have been Game 3, I think, where I think RJ hit. It was either his first three or one of his first threes, and it was like this was towards the beginning of the game when like no one was scoring at all, and like MSG, like you could it finally felt like okay, he needed that one to fall because those first two games were disastrous. Just
were not good.
Just were like from an efficiency and like. I'd say for the most part, an impact standpoint, like it was just a disaster, at least relative to RJ Barrett's standards, probably to most players.
Standards. Yeah. And then this all happens while Tom Thibodeau decides to bench Julius Randle down the stretch.
Yeah.
It's just crazy what this Knicks team, like coming into this season, I was like, all right, you make the play in, maybe you're a lower seed, that's a success. If the Knicks were the 7th seed, I'd be like, great. This is better than the mediocrity we were dealing with last year. But now, look, again, now the Knicks have a genuine shot at making the conference finals.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the NBA in a nutshell. Like, you just don't know what to expect anymore.
And I'll say this, you'll probably hear me say this plenty more times throughout these playoffs, but this is exactly why you try to make the playoffs, because you never know what type of crap will happen. And I'm looking at you, Mark Cuban. And I'm looking at you, Dave.
I'm gonna say,
Like, this is exactly why you make the playoffs. You never know what can happen in a 7-game series. I mean, it sucks because if you look throughout history, injuries and stuff happen to teams who win titles, or at least like you have to have, not injuries happen to teams who win titles, but like you need injury luck to win, to make it far. At least you'll likely need some bit of injury luck. Like if you look throughout history, like teams who have won these titles have like, they're going up against teams who are hobbled or whatnot, like at least once.
like the
And
2019 finals, yeah.
Yeah, like this, like that happens. Like you need it's not necessarily who is the best team, but who's the healthiest team and who's the team
who survives the most.
It's survival of the fittest. I know that's like a bad analogy because freak injuries happen and shit all the time. Like it's not anything new. But like so that sucks, but like you never know what can happen just from a basketball perspective in a 7-game series. You might get your doors blown off you. That just might happen. Sometimes it happens just depending on them. You run into the wrong matchup schematically or personnel wise or whatever the case is. But then there's also on the flip side where it's like, oh, like we actually have a legitimate shot to win this series. Like even if we're a playing team or we make it in as a 6 seed or whatever the case is, like such and such happened in games 2, 4, and 5 or whatever. Like we have a legitimate shot to win this series and move on to the next round. Like you never know. As smart as we think we all are, we all know nothing because shit happens in a 7-game series that we're just like, wait, what? Like if you were to told me that Emmanuel Quickly would be bad in a 7-game series and the Knicks would be up 3-1, I'd be like, wait, something else must have happened. But also Cleveland has been like just collectively bad. Like
Knicks are shut them down.
I mean, I had Cleveland winning this series. I had them winning in 6. I didn't know what the health of Julius Randle would look like. That was kind of my tipping point.
Right. And it was Randle hasn't even been nothing too remarkable.
Right. And like Jalen Brunson, I mean, we haven't talked about him a whole lot. We probably should. He's been awesome.
Again, like you said about Mark Cuban, like how does he think he's not worth the money?
I mean, I think there's also a point to it where it's like Tibbs hired his dad.
That's also true.
And it's like I felt like as soon as that happened, I was like, he's going to Dallas. Like I don't know if Dallas could do anything money wise or whatnot. I mean, I know, like obviously the money was there with like the years and everything. He was eligible for like the max. I think he was, at least because they had his bird rights. But like from that perspective, like I mean, I don't know if the dollars. I don't know if Cuban would have paid the dollars anyways, but like even just at that point, like you're right. Like, but like he's been phenomenal.
It's just to your point. Like at the end of the day, we know nothing because how did the New York Knicks see this in Jalen Brunson? Like he was very good. Like I think we could all agree last year in Dallas as the number 2 option, he was great. He was far outperforming what we've seen from him up until that point. But then on the Knicks, it's just reached a new gear. Like this guy he was a late first-round pick, 2018. We all know he's obviously great in college with Villanova, most outstanding player, Final Four, whatever. But now he's pretty much the lead guard for a team that, this is my Knicks fan delusion, that could make the finals because the Knicks played the Celtics very well in the regular season. Like I don't know, and the Sixers again. Like I don't even know. I don't want to look too far ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. And again, I don't think I'd pick. Sorry, but I don't think I'd pick the Knicks.
No, you shouldn't. No, you don't be sorry.
I'm dumb. I picked the Heat to barely win a game, dude. I'm stupid. I'm dumb. That's what I've come to realize after the start of these playoffs. I'm dumb. I had the Cavs winning in 6.
I just learned I can't doubt Jimmy Butler anymore. When you doubt him, we'll make you pay. But again, that's the NBA people.
These series like we're geniuses, and like we're like, no, we're we're gonna call this. It's just like, no, we actually none of us know anything about anyone. That's my take about
that's
this.
the conclusion. Yeah. I mean, that's just the beauty of the NBA playoffs. There's no real equivalent to that.
This is why you should make the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is why you should make the playoffs.
Exactly.
I mean, we could talk all day about the lottery picks.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean,
in the end, when this is more fun.
This is 100 times out of 100.
At least when you have a decent enough personnel that you can win a playoff series and you're not like perpetually like the Wizards or something playing in the play-in almost every year and either lose or win and then just get horribly embarrassed in the first. Like, sorry to call you out, Wizards, but bad organization. But like in general, the playoffs, when your team is decent and or at least your team has a legitimate shot, dude, at least for me, I find so much more joy in that.
I mean, like I'm thinking about it right now. We're literally like the Paul Rudd meme. He's like, who could have imagined this?
Yeah. All right. What other series do you want to hit on before we move on?
I mean, we could see some series get closed out tonight. What is it? Boston, Atlanta, and then the Clippers and Suns in Denver. All three of those series could be done tonight.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, obviously, again, I don't want to look too far ahead, but I mean, that Golden State-Sacramento series, especially with Fox out, that's going to be interesting.
See, again, that's just the part that sucks about all this with the injuries. Like, Fox fractured his hand? His
hand. Out for at least game 5. They're not going to give him the whole series off or confirm it yet.
And it's like the thing with the Clippers and the Suns. It's like how much more fun would the series be if Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were both healthy? Kawhi was ruled out tomorrow, so he's not.
That game one was just such a instant classic, and now it's pretty much done. I think the Suns have it in the bag now.
Yeah, especially since they play 2 of their next 5 at home, or 2 of the next 3. I mean, Timberwolves, Nuggets. That's probably the series I haven't watched. That's probably the series I've watched.
Yeah,
I've watched. Yeah. I've watched all of these games from these series, but like that's probably the series that I've least watched or at least remember just from everything that's happened. Even though Game 4 was fun.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Edwards deserves better. Is all I'm gonna say.
I can't believe Minnesota almost blew that. They were up, I think, double figures. Yeah, no, that was bad. I mean, Denver, I think, is closing that out tonight.
I mean, Jokic had a great game, like 43 and 16 or something like that.
Oh yeah. And then Boston,
Atlanta. Jaylen Brown unmasked now.
Yeah,
he had a good game without the mask.
I mean, that's been a closer series than I would have probably expected, just from like
Atlanta. I mean, Trae Young kept him in it in that Game 4. They weren't too far away from tying that up.
And the fact that they just couldn't miss in Game 3. Like, I think both teams combined to make, like, I want to say it was like 20 or something, 25 threes in the first half. Like, I think it was 25. I think the final number was. Like, no one was missing.
Yeah.
And, like, they were getting, like, really good performances from, like, DeJounte and Bogdanovich, especially.
DeAndre Hunter. Yeah.
DeAndre Hunter had 27 in Game 4. Like, I had
I don't think that I don't.
Yeah, I had serious questions about like the supporting cast outside of Trae and DeJounte. Like, all right, who's going to be able to create their own shot against a Boston defense that may not be as sturdy as it was last year, but they were still a top, I think, 5 defense in the league. Derek White might make first team all defense, and as he probably should for a guard because he's been phenomenal this year. Like for Trae, he goes from Smart to White to Brown to like there's 4 really, really good to elite defenders in that Boston starting lineup. Also, I did not maybe actually no 5 with. I mean, Rob's
Time
not
Lord
starting.
Is back. Yeah,
Rob's not starting, but he's also really good, and Horford could definitely hold his own in space. Like I'm just counting on my hand 6 really good defenders to elite defenders. I don't know. if Horford's near the elite category. But regardless,
Still a good, yeah.
very good defenders, and like Trey and DeJounte have to deal with that. And it's just like I didn't see a pathway. Like I know I'm dumbing it down as best I could, but I didn't see a way where it felt like Atlanta's offense is a little too predictable at times, like the double drag stuff and the pick and roll. And like I thought Trey was going to have I thought he was going to have an incredibly good series to at least advance. And I didn't love the matchups defensively because Atlanta's been one of the worst defensive teams all season. But yeah, you're right. They almost did tie it.
They weren't too far away.
At 2 apiece. I mean, I think Boston closes this out tonight anyway. So it's not.
Me too. I think maybe Atlanta doesn't go out quietly, but I still think Boston's going to shut them down.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then who else? I think we did kind of touch on everyone.
Yeah.
Oh no, and obviously Philly swept the Nets over the weekend.
That was such a aesthetically unappealing series.
Yeah.
The only time the times that I did love watching that series was when Bridges was cooking. But other than that, I was just like, this series is like not like, and Maxey. I do like watching like playoff.
I love watching him play.
Is becoming more and more like a real thing, even though he's in his third season.
I mean, if I'm a Sixers fan, I would not be upset at all to see James Harden walk out the door and give Tyrese Maxey more of a role in that offense.
Yeah, especially for the money.
Yeah. I think now that Houston's got Ime Udoka, I feel like that Harden may consider going back. I don't know.
I have no idea what.
It's anyone's guess. But still, Philly's just waiting on, I guess now, what are they, the third seed? So they're waiting on the Celtics.
Yeah.
But
who do you think wins that series, hypothetically?
Between Philly and the Celtics?
Now that one matchup's already determined.
I think the Celtics are still going to prevail. I just don't. Embiid may be dominant, but especially now that they have Williams back, I think that's such a huge boost for the Celtics inside. And I think it looks like Celtics in 6 for me. But maybe Embiid just goes completely bonkers.
I mean, a part of me thinks. I mean, if Boston can go small and spread Philly out, I think that's probably their best formula.
They're going to have success, yeah.
Like if Horford's like the smoke, like if you can get like a Smart, White, Brown, Tatum, Horford trio. I want to look at the lineup data just from the regular season stats. I'll probably do that later. But like it felt like, at least from the brief regular season meetings that I saw, I only saw 1 or 2 of Boston, Philly. But it felt like whenever Boston went smaller, it was that they were more successful.
Yeah.
And it's like, of course, they can also throw the thing with Boston that Brooklyn didn't have was front court depth. Or at least more front court depth. Like you can throw Horford and Rob at Embiid and hope to mitigate him a little bit. You may not want to. I mean, heck, now that I'm really talking out loud, they might not actually do that. They might want to have Rob on PJ to help off him to kind of protect the rim. But regardless, like Boston has more front court depth and they have more switchability and they have better guard and wing defenders collectively than Brooklyn does, while also having a much better and more sustainable. I don't say more sustainable, but I'd say better offense, even though both teams do shoot a lot of threes. There is very high variance when it comes to that. But I think I agree. I don't think this goes 7. I think Boston wins in either 5 or 6.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like just the value of having, Tatum and Brown can just as easily play with 2 guards alongside them as they can with 2 bigs alongside them. And it just, I feel like Boston could just beat Philly in any way they choose.
Yeah. There's more versatility, I think.
Yeah.
And there's obviously more experience. Like I think Tatum and Brown will hold themselves better
Totally. And then, I mean, again, don't want to look too far, but a Nuggets versus Suns second round would be pretty ridiculous.
That's what a few people that'll go unnamed in our company wanted. Nuggets Suns.
Nuggets Suns looks like more as the days go on, it's looking more and more likely.
A sick part of me wants the Nuggets and Lakers to make it to the Western Conference Finals. Just because
I think a sick part of me wants that too.
Of the company parity. Like,
yes.
Oh my goodness.
And
yeah, no, that would be a lot of fun. Even though I do want to see the Suns at least I want to see CP3 get over the hump. Obviously, I want Zach to do well. I also like watching Golden State too. So I mean that series is a wash, but Zach and the Lakers, again, as I've mentioned before, would be just a lot of fun for multiple. That
would be throwing ourselves in a time machine back to 2002.
Yeah.
And I was thinking,
hopefully the rest don't screw it up again.
If it's the Knicks and the Heat in the second round, that's jumping into a time machine to 1999, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to talk about the series that happened.
Yeah, I know. We can't think too far ahead.
I don't even want to talk. I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to touch it.
Just leave it as it is until tomorrow night or whenever Game 5 is.
It's tomorrow.
We'll go from there. Tomorrow night.
Right now, it's every other day. So if it'll be Wednesday, Friday, Sunday for Heat Bucks, and so there's no more like 2 days rest how it was the first 3 games. We're going to every other day. It's going to be
a slugfest.
Turnaround. Not much time to think about anything, even though I want to continue thinking about yesterday for the rest of the day. Not much time for turnaround. Please end this stupid series.
Just do it. Do it.
Please end this stupid series, Miami. Don't Bucks. No.
Bucks need to be ended.
In the series, dude. I don't want to think about. Just give me to the second round if Miami even makes it. Just advance. I don't want to think about. Oh, what if?
Yeah. No what ifs. No, none of that. No. Can't even leave that door open.
No.
But yeah. I mean, what do you think, Matt? Do you want to jump into any MLB or NFL stuff? But I mean, this is a beautiful NBA discussion.
Aaron Rodgers got traded.
He did.
He's out of
New York Jet now, and I honestly think the Jets did a good job. They didn't. It's not like they gave up the kitchen sink for him.
I mean, they only moved.
They moved 2 spots in the first round.
2 spots back. I mean, they did trade a second rounder
that could turn into a first.
And did they also trade this year's second round, or
No, I think they traded a 2024 conditional second, and if Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps, it turns into a first.
I knew that. Let me see. Okay, here I have Schefter's thing up here.
I don't think they traded this year's second. I think they traded like a later round pick for this year.
No, they did trade a second. They traded pick 13, a 2023 second, which is 42, their first second round
42.
Pick. They might have multiple.
And then like a 4th or something?
A 6th round pick.
Oh, 6,
okay. And then the conditional second that you...
Gotcha. That condition,
Yeah, and then the Jets get Rodgers. They only move 2 spots back plus a 5th round pick.
Jets could still very easily add a good player at 15. I mean, I just don't know what position they really are going to be. Maybe not receiver, not secondary. Maybe someone for the D line or O line.
Probably you're probably looking at like a Skoronski or Paris Johnson if he falls.
I was going to say if Paris is there, I think you take Paris.
Let me pull up. Can you pull up Tankathon?
Yes.
For just the prospects again, because for the NFL draft I always have to refresh my memory because small brain.
Let me find it. Oh, here I have the mock draft. Or big board.
Okay, can you
Anderson?
What does it say? Okay, but never mind. Will Levis, no.
Down at 13. Oh my gosh.
Are you okay? Let me ask you this before this draft starts, because this will be our last show before it actually.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you in on Will Levis? Like, are you? I'm not. I'm just not. I can't.
I can't
from the
say that I
booth,
am,
most
Matt.
people-
I'm honest. Honestly, I just I get it. Like I think it's just more of a security blanket. I think these teams are so concerned about the future. Everyone wants to have the next Mahomes. Everyone wants to have the next Josh Allen. And I think these teams are just really I think it's just a desperation act out of everything. Just so like I feel like these teams can tell themselves, "Oh, we have our QB of the future and it's Will Levis." Like but I don't know. I would not trade up to get him. If he falls, maybe if he falls at 7, maybe the Raiders will think about him, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to reach there because I think again, these
Right.
teams are so quarterback frenzied. And Anthony Richardson now apparently in the running to be the first overall pick. Like I just don't get it.
I wonder how much some of this is smoke, just to get
I
maybe to try to
again,
move up.
definitely not the best comparison, but I think to last year in the NBA draft, everyone's like, "Oh, Orlando's going Jabari Smith, Orlando's going Chet, Orlando," and they cut through the smoke and they take Paulo first overall. I wonder if a
Right.
team just does that.
Here, what's the mock draft say for Tankathon? I'm just
Yep.
curious, just to see who some of these guys. Like I
Do you
think.
think?
Now go on.
I was saying, do you think Arizona trades the third pick?
I mean, they might. I don't know if I would.
I don't know if I would
But
either.
like, if if a team like Indianapolis is knocking down your door, or again, probably like if a team like Tennessee is knocking down your door and being like, "Hey, we'll offer you 11," and I
And our
don't know what
first
other
next
draft
year.
compensation they
Yeah.
have for this year next, but like, here's this package. Like, I don't know if it's something that you can refuse because I mean, again, I know Trey's talked about it before, but like this draft might not be incredibly deep in terms of like the reliable first round. I mean, there's a lot feels like there's a lot of like middle round guys, but there's not like a top tier, like there's
I
not
feel
many
like I
top tier
remember. Yeah.
prospects.
I remember talking with Trey, and I think he said he only gave a first round grade to like 10 or 15 guys.
Yeah. So it's like if Arizona's in a position to do that and they can trade back and get like a Christian Gonzalez or not Will Anderson, or maybe
Maybe
in the off chance that like Tyree Wilson, I don't think Tyree Wilson's going to fall that far, or like a Joey Porter Jr., like players like that, or like a Nolan Smith, like
right.
maybe they can trade back, get a good package in return, and continue to fortify that defense. Because I mean, they're not going quarterback, right? At least they should.
No, my little conspiracy theory was what if there is a taker for DeAndre Hopkins and they want to find that replacement in the receiver room on draft night.
That could be it too. That could be it too. Like if they trade Hopkins to Team X and they're able to get like a JSN.
Yeah. That's I think anything's possible these days.
I mean, it's kind of like what Tennessee did last year. Remember when they traded AJ Brown to Philly?
Yeah, and then you get what's his
they
name?
got Treylon Burks.
Yeah.
Not to say I would have had Treylon Burks over AJ Brown because I wouldn't, and I still don't, and I don't think that should be debatable at this point. But like they might do that. I'm not Monty Ossenfort.
Right.
I don't know, but maybe there's a situation where something like that happens. I feel like I don't know what to make of all like the talk about Anthony Richardson possibly being one, or Houston not taking a quarterback and just going for like I don't know what to make of all that. I don't know if that's all that smoke for a team maybe trying to move up or whatever. Like I don't know what to make of all that. To me, that's just it's just typical trade chatter, like or not trade chatter, draft chatter.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so it's like I don't know what to make of all that. Like in my head, I just think Bryce is going 1, Stroud 2, and then whatever else happens after that happens. Like I don't really know what to think after that, but I just think that's the 1 and 2 right now. But again, I'm not in those front offices. I don't have I don't have the best read on it, but
I feel like things could change a lot between now and Thursday, though. Just by how things are, but I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, Carolina trades the number 1 pick to
Yeah.
to Houston or something.
To like some random taker. But
Philly somehow gets the number 1 pick.
Philly gets Derrick Henry is what I'm hearing now.
Yeah, I saw that rumor floating. I think it was Sunday or something like that. And I think it got debunked by I think it was Jay Glazer, who debunked that. But even then, like just the thought of that, I don't.
That rushing attack would be outrageous.
Yeah, but goodbye, Aaron Rodgers. Don't hit your head on the way out. We won't miss you at all, really, in the NFC North. I mean, I'm not a Packers fan because of the team behind me.
But yeah, the division that division's up for grabs now. I still
think it's probably going to be Detroit.
Oh, that's true. Detroit, unless the whole thing with Jameson Williams, that suspension and
true. I just think Detroit's in the best position now. I mean, Minnesota lost multiple pieces off their defense.
Unless Chicago really makes a big swing in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Chicago, they got a lot of capital in return. And DJ Moore, man, number 1, wide receiver 1. No. No, I don't think Chicago got like a bad return. And I think they're definitely on the way up. Again, I've said this before. It's like it'll have to take me a little while for me to trust like a completely new front office with all of that cap space. But at least it feels like so far, like they haven't done a terrible job with it.
Yeah, I mean, even though a certain someone here at Vendetta believes that Ryan Poles is a complete idiot.
I mean, I also did want Ryan Poles. I mean, it was between him and Kwesi for Minnesota's GM job at the time.
Right.
But like with NFL GMs, dude, it's tricky. Like you got to give them multiple drafts and multiple free agencies and kind of evaluate from there. I mean, I know it's not always that simple with just some of the moves that are made with like coaching laws or whatever, but it's like I don't think what's his face? I can't remember the Bears head coach's name. What the heck is it? Defensive Indianapolis.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name either.
I'm looking this up.
I was thinking, like, to your point, like there are very few instances. Like again, as a Giants fan, we completely lucked into Brian Daboll and Joe Shane. There's just picking 2 guys off the Bills, and they really were able to hit the ground running. And
this is embarrassing how I don't remember this on camera. Matt Eberflus, that's who it is.
Eberflus, yes, that's right.
Idiot brain, me.
I don't remember names. It's just the truth.
Again, my brain isn't a complete. For all people watching, my brain's a completely different place.
Don't beat yourself up because I'm sure your brain, like, not a lot of sleep, a lot of different emotions running through, like you name it. That guy right there.
I did get a decent amount of sleep, even though I usually wouldn't have. But regardless, yeah, like I don't think they did. I mean, they did get the number 1 pick. They did have the worst record. But I don't think they're in the worst spot in the world should they hit on these upcoming draft picks plus hit on guys in free agency.
Yeah, if Fields continues to develop as everyone believes he will.
Like in 2 to 3 years, if he's done, like if no one's hit or whatever,
then you kind of
know. But until then, I'm waiting and seeing. But again, I don't think they got a bad haul on paper.
No way. I think it's pretty good.
Draft, but
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it'll be very interesting to see how this draft goes and who. I mean, last year's draft was kind of crazy. Obviously, you talked about AJ Brown. There was a lot of action there. And
Minnesota made multiple drafts with in-division rivals. That was weird.
it was all a blur. But I think it has a chance of having that type of explosive impact like this year. But we'll see. I mean, is there anything else on your mind? You want to run through MLB real quick, or
Yankees, dude? What the hell,
dude? Why is everyone not named Garrett Cole not doing too good these days?
Aside from the occasional not the occasional, but aside from like Judge and Rizzo homering, it's
Yeah,
just
exactly. Those are the two
what
guys.
their offense was. I think I looked before yesterday's game. They were, I think, 17th in weighted runs created plus, which is significantly. It means they're mid. Their offense has been like mid lately, and it was a top 10 offense for a while, but then they have a couple sputtering performances back and forth. They weren't shut out by Manoah, but he dealt when he was in the worst stretch of his career.
Sonny Gray shut him down yesterday.
Sonny Gray shut him down yesterday, and it's just like they're now 13-10. Again, it's the beginning of the season, but the offense just isn't performing well right now.
They need another bat in there. I knew that, again, I was very high on Anthony Volpe. Obviously, there are growing pains. He's still adjusting to life as a full-time major league player. He's been great defensively. I've liked what I've seen out of him at short, but again, just, the bat getting better doesn't happen overnight, especially
and like the quality of his plate appearances looked better.
Definitely, he's working walks. Yeah,
he has a 3 strikeout game. I think it was Sunday, right? Either Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah,
and it's just like, I mean, that's that again, as you mentioned, that's just the growing pains of this. And it's like these plate appearances just as a whole look better, but then you will run into games like that. That just happens. And again, as I mentioned before here, he's historically been a slower starter. Each level he's moved up to minor leagues. Like it takes him a little while, especially when you're jumping from AAA, when you play 21 games there, or however many it was, up to the major league level. Like there's time for the adjustments. But like the thing that's been most impressive to me about him is it feels like he's maintained his plate discipline. And like it doesn't feel like he's I have to look at the numbers later, but he doesn't feel like he's chasing all that much, or at least more than most major leaguers at a young age would, because it's like sometimes they try to do too much, and it feels like for him at certain times like he's not, and that's a good thing. Like that's not a bad thing. That I mean, there'll be times where he'll chase, but it's not incredibly frequent, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And of course, like we've seen what he's done on the base pass, and we've seen what he's done defensively so far since he's been up. And it's like he's had some growing pains on some bad hops. Like he had a couple bad hops on Sunday, and that ultimately was one of the reasons why the Yankees lost. But you can see the flashes of him being like a really good defensive shortstop, and he's one of the best defensive shortstops that I've seen probably since Jeter. I mean, obviously what we saw with Didi was awesome defensively.
Yeah.
Regardless of how he was with the bat at times, like he was a very good defensive player, and he was so smooth. But like, even though there's been like less than a handful of players who have kind of taken those reins since, it just doesn't feel like IKF wasn't as good defensively as Volpe was. Like, I mean, Peraza was a defensive-minded shortstop in the minors, and they're moving him between second and third base, as you know.
Right.
But I don't think Volpe. I think Volpe's shown more flashes than Peraza, at least defensively.
Absolutely.
Same thing with like when they moved Glaber to short for
that season.
Like Volpe's been better defense. Like, so you see it there. I mean, just going through the rest of the roster. I mean, Stanton's hurt now, which sucks.
They need him there. They need him.
He's such an important bat because he provides more lineup depth and more protection behind Judge and Rizzo. Because it's like when you don't have that protection there, they're not getting as many pitches to hit. It's just like that. And of course, you're having a worse hitter there than Stanton. I mean, Stanton wasn't off the most beautiful start, but he still has that fear as a hitter.
I would take him. Yeah, I take Stanton at whatever he is now than over Willie Calhoun. Like, that's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, or even like as fun as we had with Franchi for like a week span, like
he's starting to
take Stanton over Franchi. Franchi's definitely
his hot run is officially gone cold. In case anyone's wondering.
Yeah, surprise. Like DJ's been up and down a little bit, at least to start the season. But like he's better than he was when he was hurt these last couple of years.
And he's going to be there since Donaldson. There's still no real answer on when he's coming back.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it's been definitely a sluggish start. I mean, like I said at the top, I mean, Garrett Cole has been amazing when he's been starting. I mean, that 8-inning game against the Twins at the stadium was just I watched that whole game and it was just he was just shoving it.
Would you, without looking at anyone else, would you take him as the AL Cy Young?
I honestly think I would. He hasn't given up a home run, or I forget. He's significantly limited his home run numbers. ERA, like just outrageous.
Here,
what was that?
I was like, I don't think he's allowed a home run yet.
I know. I think it's like a .95 ERA, no home runs given in like 35 innings of work so far.
Yeah, he's been
so far he's been the guy that the Yankees paid all that money for. It's that simple.
And it just sucks when you're not getting what you would have hoped for out of Clark. He's very much struggled against lefties, and that's like a problem more and more.
Yeah, got to find a way to rectify that. Johnny Brito.
I mean, I like Johnny. I was encouraged with what I saw from him in spring.
You just don't know what you're going to get with him.
Starts, but I guess the Twins just have his number for some reason. I guess I don't know. But I'm looking at it right now. The Yankees are 20th in weighted runs created plus 96, or they're tied. They're tied with Seattle, Oakland, and Arizona. That's not the best company. I mean,
that's not the best company at all.
Let's see, just some of their other numbers. Like it doesn't feel like they're getting on base all that much. Yeah, they're getting on base at barely a 30% clip. They're hitting in the low 200s. They're hitting. I know batting average is an overrated stat, but they're hitting 225, which is the fourth worst in baseball. Like if you're not getting on base and you're not hitting at a good enough clip, your offense just isn't going to be productive. You're not going to score many runs. That's just
right. I mean, I will give you this hypothetical, Matt. So obviously we want the Yankees, I think for all intents and purposes, we can say that the Astros have maybe taken a step back. They're not as good as they were last year. The American League feels definitely much more wide open than it has in years past. Would you give up Jason Dominguez at the trade deadline for Shohei Ohtani for half the season or whatever, assuming he wants to return to the West Coast and sign a mega deal there?
Wait, you cut out. Say that again?
Oh, I would say, would you trade Jason Dominguez at the trade deadline for Shohei Ohtani to be all in on this season?
Dude, I mean, maybe, but
I think I would. I think as a Yankees fan, you get that bat in the lineup, you get that arm in your rotation. I don't think you're gonna have a better shot at a World Series than this year if you have.
That'd be such a nuts trade.
That would be such a ridiculous trade. But
I just don't know how much he wants to play in New York.
Yeah, I mean, he had very nice things to say about Yankee Stadium, but again, we saw what happened up at Fenway on a rainy day. He was not having a lot of fun over in Boston.
I don't want to say yes or no because my hands are tied.
I love Jason Dominguez. I think he's going to be a stud, but
think about it. It wouldn't just be Dominguez.
It would be a lot more.
It would be selling the.
It'd probably be Glaber also. Just attach an arm.
I have no idea what that trade package would look like.
It would be a lot. It would be a whole lot.
Also, like the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
Like they're 16-7, dude. They've won 7 straight.
That's a good story, especially with O'Neal Cruz injured. They're still rolling.
Like how?
I don't get it. Good for them is all I can say.
Oh, and just by the way, breaking news. This is very legitimate breaking news.
What's that?
Brian Reynolds just signed an extension. Speaking of the Pirates, okay, I didn't bring up the Pirates just because he signed that extension. I brought up the Pirates because of their record and how good they've been playing lately. But very timely breaking news that Brian Reynolds has signed an 8-year, $106.75 million extension with the Pittsburgh Pirates. It contains no opt-outs and includes a limited no trade clause, per Jeff Passan of ESPN.
Wow. Well, I mean, I know that's the guy the Yankees were very interested in over the winter.
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten off to a really good start this season, I believe. I think.
I mean, you think about having him in left field, that would solve a lot of problems right now.
Right. But yeah, he has signed an extension. He will be in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization for the foreseeable future. They actually paid him money, like a decent amount of money. 8 years for 107. I know that's not an incredibly amount of money, but
it's not too bad.
It feels like more than what the Pirates have
been willing to give out.
that was incredibly coincidental.
That was just quite an ironic piece of news right there.
But then, like, not even just Brian Reynolds, like Connor Joe, McCutchen, Sawinski.
McCutcheons look really good.
Bay, Yukon Bay. I know he's regressed a little bit, but he's still been really good. Rodolfo Castro, their new prized, I think, second baseman, middle infielder.
Right.
Now that O'Neal Cruz is hurt. I mean, it just feels like plenty of names that you wouldn't expect. Not necessarily McCutchen or whatnot, but just plenty of an unforeseen start to the season for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who will almost certainly probably regress to the mean at some point. I don't think this is sustainable. Sorry, Pirates fans, if you're watching this. But just looking at it, they're also getting really good production. I mean, I didn't realize it was like this formidable, but they're also getting very good production from Johan Oviedo, who's like another one of like their young right-handed starters.
Right. I forgot that Jackson Smith and Jigba's like cousin or brother plays for the Pirates also.
Right.
A little fun fact.
Right. And Mitch Keller, he's gotten off to a good start. Vince Velasquez, the water found its level with him, I think, the other day. I can't remember who he was. I think maybe wasn't Houston. It was someone else, but he had a good start. But like that was just a team that like one of the better stories of the season. I mean, obviously the Diamondbacks, the Brewers are still red hot. The Cardinals won't do anything because I bet on them. The Braves are playing well. I mean, they were on like an 8-game win streak, 7-game win streak, something like that.
Just pull those out like it's candy. Like
the Astros, it's been weird, dude. Like the Astros, they've been very, very underwhelming. Same with the Padres to an extent. I mean, I know who'd they sweep over the weekend? I just couldn't remember. Was it Houston? No, it was Atlanta. No, they didn't sweep Atlanta. No, who was it then? Oh, might have been Arizona. No, they didn't sweep Arizona either. I swear they swept a team recently. I mean, they did sweep Atlanta at the beginning of the season. Maybe my brain is. Maybe I need to just take a break. No, it was Houston who swept Atlanta, not San Diego.
Gotcha.
Atlanta swept Houston. I mean, but yeah, no, Houston. Like, what are we doing, dude? I mean,
I know.
I mean, they got off to a hot start yesterday against Bradley. Like they got like 2 or 3 runs in the first inning, and then Tampa, as we all know and love, just rattled off 8 straight like it was nothing.
It might just be the mountain that is already starting to build to climb to get up to Tampa is just outrageous. Like, I don't know, the Yankees have just got to turn around quick, or else the division could be in trouble by June.
Yeah, like when you're sweeping, you're not sweeping, but you're putting up an 8 spot like nothing against
the defending champs.
Urquidy, a good starter. and a team who just came off like one of their best series of the season, probably arguably their best against Atlanta. I think in Atlanta too.
Yeah. You got to tip your hat.
But
I mean, yeah. I don't know how they do it, but the Rays are the Rays. They're just the model of efficiency these days. Them and the Astros for all intents and purposes.
yeah.
But,
yeah, I mean, like, and like to an extent, I mean, the Dodgers have you seen like Muncy and James Outman?
Yeah, I mean they're just going bananas out.
Pete Alonso,
yeah,
for the Mets. Like, there's
I mean,
been
like, yeah. Who else am I thinking of? Was it? Oh no, I'm trying.
Nimmo.
Yeah, Nimmo for the Mets. That's right. He's had some big, big games already.
Matt Chapman and obviously Wander. For just talking about the Rays, Wander Franco.
And Luis Arias is casually batting .444.
I don't know. Again, I asked this to. I think it was it Germani? Yeah, it was Germani. When we did the live show, I believe it was last week, and I asked him, like, did the Rays, or not the Rays, did the Marlins and Twins like both win the Pablo Lopez Luis Arias swap? Because Pablo Lopez has been dealing.
He's been shoving, yeah.
He's been one of the best starters in the AL this season. Another one in contention for the AL Cy Young voting. And Luis Arias is, I mean,
just a machine.
I think Miami's 12-11, something like that. Like, they're above 500. Their offense hasn't been terrible, or at least it's been better than it has been in years past. At least it feels like. Well, it's still
Jazz
they have a negative
34
run differential. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh,
but it feels like it's been better. Like, at least
I agree.
Maybe I've been so down on Miami's offense for years now, so maybe that's where this is stemming from. But
well, I mean, speaking of teams that I've been down on in recent years, you see Patrick Wisdom for the Cubs just banging in home runs. Like,
he's another one. He is another one. Cubs in general have just been really good.
Cubs have been rolling, yeah. I mean, Bellinger's been looking good.
They're tied for the lead in the NL in runs scored.
They are off to a good start, and good for them, obviously. And obviously, my boy Adley Rutschman down in Baltimore looks like his first full season's off to a good start.
15-7.
Well, you said it, and we still haven't really seen it. I think we got to wait for them to play at Yankee Stadium for Gunnar Henderson to really torch the Yankees.
Nah, don't say that. I don't want that.
You said it. Look, you manifested.
I know. I did. I just don't want that to happen.
I know.
I don't want you to.
I don't either.
I don't want to continue speaking it into his good.
But yeah.
Just looking at some of these, how have the Tigers won 8 games?
Good for Miguel.
I mean, yeah. They did take a series to, I think they took like 3 out of 4 against Cleveland, though, which is shocking. But regardless.
Yeah.
Regardless. The A's continue to stink. Oh, we didn't talk about, what do you think about the A's moving to Vegas, just before we get out of here?
I think it's interesting. I mean, it's sad because I remember Oakland baseball used to be a great time. I remember when there were fans in the seats, but now, again, Vegas is the place to be right now. I mean, you look at the Raiders, you look at the Golden Knights, they're really starting to become a bit of a sports town now. Compared to 5-10 years ago, how crazy does that sound, you know?
Yeah. I continue to have, like, also with like the Las Vegas Aces.
Yeah. I mean, they're great in the WNBA.
I mean, heck, they might expand. I know there's been rumors about like the Boston Sports Group trying to buy a franchise in Vegas, or at least have a franchise. I don't know if buy for like a new one or like have one move or whatever this is, but I know there's definitely been rumors about that. I know LeBron's been outspoken about wanting to own a franchise. I
mean, they have a beautiful T-Mobile arena out there that obviously is great for hockey. I'm sure is also great for basketball.
Right. And also the thing I'm most curious about that I haven't seen anything on, maybe I've missed something, would make sense, is like the Oakland A's have their AAA team is in Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Aviators.
Really?
And like where once, I mean, I know I can't remember who exactly said it, but there was discussion about like the move could be faster. I know that I think the talks were like in 2025 or 26 or something like that for them to officially move to Vegas, but like that could come sooner. And in the meantime, they would try to work out like a deal to play in the Aviator Stadium. I don't know how true that is, if that's become official or not. I'm not 100% sure. So
Very interesting.
but like, where do the Aviators go? Like what? Like they don't just stay in Vegas, right? Like they have to. I mean, maybe especially if Oakland moves to Vegas and they're there before the stadium is officially built. I'm guessing the Aviators would just stay in Las Vegas if that, like, since they're building a completely new baseball stadium, since they now have like, I think it was $1.4 billion in funding now for that. Like, but like in the meantime, because how AAA works, at least to my understanding, because I mean, the team, the Reno Aces that live
Right.
here, right 15 minutes from my house, they're the AAA affiliate of the Diamondbacks. But they changed the schedule after COVID to where it's like you play Tuesday through Sunday. Like you just have one series, just Tuesday through Sunday in the same location. And I think that's how it is this year. That's definitely how it was last year. But if that became a thing, like how would that scheduling change if the Oakland A's hypothetically played in the AAA stadium for a year or 6 months, like however long, like how would that change the AV or the Pacific Coast League? Like how would that change their schedules?
Yeah.
Because it's like if the A's have three with the Angels in town Monday through Wednesday, like how would that change? Like I just have questions. I don't know. Again, I don't know how true those rumors are that they would move to Vegas earlier than the presumptive 2025, I think the date was, or 2026. I can't remember off the top of my head, but like how exactly that would change things. But like for the Aviators, like what exactly are they going to play at UNLV? Like
Yeah.
That'd be my guess, right?
That's probably the best guess out of it.
Yeah. Even though they do the college baseball season and the beginning of the AAA season do kind of overlap with each other, I'm sure they could maybe work something out. But then again, that also runs into a problem because it's like they'll play a game or two a week, and then I think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday for college baseball. Like what exactly would be the plan? Like there's just so many like, okay, what if this? What if that?
The grounds crew is going to be put to work, changing it from college, college field to MLB field. Like, there's a lot that goes into it.
Right. That too. Maybe they have another field that I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
There's probably more obstacles and stuff that I just don't know about, that they're either are clearing, have cleared,
right.
Or are to be cleared with this. But I have questions when it comes to just that specific move. Again, since they're building the new stadium, my first question leading into this was like, okay, there's not a whole lot of space in Vegas. The state just spent multi-billion dollars on Allegiant Stadium.
Right.
With a lot of state funding, I believe. I can't remember all the logistics of all this, but like a lot of money was spent to build Allegiant Stadium just a few years ago. That's now since been built. How much money? I mean, I think this was privately funded by I think the A's ownership. Maybe I'm.
Oh, okay.
I think, I'm not sure, because I know they weren't going to get granted any money from like California. I think I'm just saying this. I'm spewing it in the air. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I probably am wrong on most of this stuff, but
I'm sure there's a lot more that still needs to come out about it.
Yeah, but like I think there was multiple. I think it was privately funded. Maybe I'm not sure. I'd have to like double and triple check that. But my first question was, okay, what happens to the Aviators if the A's move to Vegas? Like, are they moving to a completely different location? Like, what are the logistics of that going to be like? And I'm guessing it looks like they're going to stay in Las Vegas. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I mean, just in terms of like from Oakland fan base, it just feels like, just from what we've seen from like the fan attendance and everything over the last several years, there just wasn't much traction, and it felt like it felt like there wasn't as much of a fan base in Oakland as there was in like San Francisco for the Giants or
totally
elsewhere. Like
San Diego.
That's just like if you're an Oakland sports fan, if you go to those games and if you support that team and organization, like that sucks. But like
there's not a lot of those people though.
Yeah, like from everyone collectively, like I guess I get it from like moving to Vegas, you're gonna have at least somewhat of more of an attraction, especially since your AAA team plays there. You could probably bank on there being more fans or as many fans or maybe close to as many fans in Vegas, or at least around Vegas and like Henderson and other places, than in Oakland, because again, there just wasn't many fans showing up to games. I went to the one game I went to last year was a Yankees-A's game in Oakland, and that was when the Yankees scored like a gajillion billion runs. They won like 13-4 or something like that in August. And like, I didn't hate the stadium for it being a professional sports stadium. I don't get to go to many of those, and so I appreciated the experience. It was a nice, like, just from that perspective, it was nice. But like, dude, it was like 70% Yankee fans. Like, there was so many more.
Yeah.
Yankee fans travel well, as we know, because they're probably the most popular baseball franchise just in the world, just from the notoriety they've had in the past. But like, dude, it was like the majority of the fans there were Yankee fans.
Yeah.
It was like I would probably say a 65, 35, 70, 30 split of Yankee fans, A's fans there. And there wasn't many just fans there in general. And so it's like, that's what I'm saying, where it's like, if you go to all of these games as an A's fan, like I at least feel some sort of empathy for you, because again, like the Warriors just moved to San Francisco, they moved across the bay.
Right.
You're now losing the A's. The Raiders just moved to Vegas, and so it's like that sucks. So it's like the last professional sports franchise that they have there just got ripped from them.
It's not fun, but
it's not. It's so that part isn't fun. It's not cool. It's hard for me to feel. It's hard. It's hard. Not hard for me, but like I sympathize. I empathize with that. That would suck. But like from a logistics standpoint, and from like a fan as a whole, from like a standpoint of that, like I guess I get it. It sucks. It sucks, but like the truth is the truth. The fans weren't showing up to games that much.
Yeah, it's just the fact of the matter.
Just the fact of the matter. And so that's like, I guess where my head is kind of at.
And obviously also the Athletics are not a good team.
Yeah.
Like they could be like one of the worst teams in history this year is what I keep reading.
I mean, they're 5-18 through 23 games. I don't know what that pace is over.
I don't know what that trajectory is, but not good.
40 wins, maybe 45.
Maybe.
Like that's I guess kind of where they're sitting at, or close to it at least. Just from like a 162 standpoint. Not saying that will sustain itself, because again, we've seen bad baseball teams still sometimes win games that they shouldn't win. But they also have a minus 102 run differential. Good golly.
That is not fun.
Yeah.
But again, that's just the era of sports we're in, you know. I think teams really just are looking to maximize, whether it's profitability, whether it's, you know, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, there's definitely a lot of stuff going on underneath the table that we're not aware of. But it's just the name of the game these days, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, this was one of my favorite daily shows. I'll be honest with you, Matt. This is a very, very good one.
This was a good one. Now pray for me the rest of the week. That's just.
I will. I gotta pray for my Knicks. I can't take anything for granted. They gotta close it out against the Cavs.
Yeah, no, everything right now is it's practically at this point gravy, but still got to get the job done.
Exactly. We gotta finish the job, and then hopefully by this time next week we'll be able to look at the round 2 in good spirits.
I don't know when round 2 is supposed to start, but it might have already started. I don't think the schedule's been released for that though. I think it.
Yeah, I think
Game 7 would hypothetically be on Sunday. I think the rounds would start around early next week. So.
Right.
But let's just hope it doesn't get to a Game 7.
I know.
I don't want
to
think about a Game 7 Heat. Well, just end this. Just end this tomorrow. Even though I know it's going to be practically impossible because of Milwaukee's going to hit a gajillion billion threes probably, and Giannis will go for. He'll break Kobe's 81, maybe. I don't know. Who the hell knows what will happen? But
Jordan's record is not safe tomorrow. I hope.
Yeah, Jordan's 63.
Breaks it.
Yeah, you're on watch tomorrow. Jordan's hashtag 63. Not because of Jimmy, although I hope it is Jimmy. But
or LeBron. Who knows?
Giannis freaking Antetokounmpo or Chris Middleton or what? Dude, I don't know. Just close it out. I don't even want to think about
it. Get it done. Exactly. Just
get it done.
Just complete the downfall of the Milwaukee Bucks, and then we can all go to bed happily, safe and sound. But
or not sleep.
Or not sleep. Exactly. Sleep is optional. But I mean, Matt, I'll be thinking about you. I'll be tuning in tomorrow night. Likewise, I'll have my popcorn. I'll be rooting for you guys.
I think they play after the Knicks on NBA TV.
All right. Perfect.
Because it's a weird start time. Again, another Miami-Milwaukee starting at 9:30 Eastern. So,
I guess it's 8:30 over there or something. So,
yeah,
makes just enough sense to them. But we shall see, my friend.
After the Knicks possibly clinch their second round, you get to watch me suffer in pain and agony.
I hope that he can follow suit and clinch as well. But again, it's like you said. This is why we love the playoffs, because anything is possible.
I sent a message, or I tweeted something last night, and I also sent in another work group chat. I was like, how is this the first round? These emotions make me feel like it's like the conference finals or like the NBA finals. Like, how is this this is the first round of the NBA playoffs, and we're already just like, what the like I don't like last night felt like the emotion I felt after last night again was similar to what I felt after Jimmy's triple-double or Jimmy's 47-point game against Boston last year. That was in the conference finals. The one before that was in the NBA finals. Like, this feels like we're in the first round, dude. It's like, wait, what? Like, I'm going to age 20 years by the time the second round's over. If this continues.
It's going to be something else this postseason. I can't wait to see how it progresses.
I love it though. I love this.
Exactly. This is the time of year that this is what I have on my calendar. But again, Matt, I am thinking of you. I'm thinking of Heat Nation. I'm thinking of Knicks Nation also, obviously. But we're in for some very good basketball.
Likewise.
But my friend, tomorrow. Yes, let's hope there's 2 clinches tomorrow. Another series in the Bucks. If it was up to me, that's how it would be, but it's not up to me.
The Lakers can also clinch tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe first round could be done very quickly. But again, to everyone who tuned in, this was an episode to remember. Let's go Heat. Let's go Knicks. Let's go Lakers. Let's go playoffs. Again, everyone who tuned in, check it out tomorrow because there will be more NBA playoff basketball to talk about, more MLB baseball, you name it. But again, everyone, I hope you had a great day. I hope you had enjoyed watching this, and we'll see you next Tuesday.